Hey guys, it's Mike with another highlight video on Othrox. We're going to spotlight his abilities today. Got him leveled up to level 100. He is a Sender, Strength, Redeemer, Warrior. Got him in a gear set to get his power ranking up to 625. We're foregoing the added accessory here. I did have to pull two pieces of gear off and use kind of secondary pieces that I made. I think because these two actually match his affinity, so they're doing pretty good for him. As a warrior, typically want to build him with attack. Also, they tend to be a little squishier than a tank, and they're running into battle, so you want to have high defense and high HP. And I think for him, HP might actually make a little more sense, but we'll take a peek at his skills and see how that plays out. We got a little bit of crit rate on the weapon there. We have no crit rate on the helmet and a lot of evade going on that piece there. That's kind of funny. And then we got some HP on the boots. If we take a look at his skills, we're looking at Fearless as his ultimate ability. It's a single target. He targets the nearest enemy and hits them several times, which is kind of vague. Several is several? Okay. Dealing 90% of attack for all of them except for the final hit, which deals 150%. We're up to 210%. And adds 10% of your max HP as true damage. So that's where if you build him with high HP, he's doing true damage, which I believe just means is basically ignoring all defense on the champion that he's hitting. So he's going to do 210% on that final hit and an extra 10% of his max HP as true damage. But it cannot exceed 300% of his attack. So it's really confusing, but if you really just built him with really high HP and no attack at all, then it'll basically cap out at 3% of his attack, 300% of his attack, or his HP 10%, whichever is lower, is my guess on how that all plays out. That's kind of confusing wording there. Deadly Charge is crowd control. Target the furthest enemy and charge toward them, causing knockback to enemies in the way and dealing 200% of attack as physical damage. Becomes immune to control effects during the charge. The struggle with abilities like this, and you see it with Icum, is when they charge to that furthest enemy, they are now basically surrounded by enemies. And if they don't kill them, even with knockback, they're going to start getting a lot of damage all at once because they're completely surrounded. So that is, it can be a good thing. I mean, obviously going to the back row, you're going to be taking out their damage dealer potentially, their sniper, their Durizda, whatever the case is. So this theoretically could work out pretty well in an arena setting, but in waves that can be a little bit rough. On Vengeance, we have increases attack by 20% if Fearless successfully kills an enemy, and is stackable, lasts until the end of the battle. So every time he's able to kill an enemy with Fearless, which he's going to be hitting pretty hard, he's going to be gaining 20% of attack for each enemy he kills over the course of that battle, and resets at the end of each battle. So his attack will be kind of piling up on him, making him pretty interesting. That's kind of fun. He is a Founder Guardian, so I believe the only way to get him on your account is to purchase him. But you can enlighten him utilizing those cracked hearts, which is why this little icon is right here. But we're going to jump out into the Great Forge, give him a shot, and see how he does. Alright, so we're on into that first battle fight. He is a Sender, so he's neutral affinity with this dungeon. And he does not have any healing on his kit, so he will be accumulating all the damage that comes onto him. All of his attacks are single target. So this could take a little bit, although that seemed to be an area damage there. That's kind of interesting. Trying to just remember back on it. I'm pretty sure everything said it was single target because he charges to the furthest enemy, hits them. But he's actually not taking a whole lot of damage here. So he's doing pretty well in that space. And he's hitting pretty hard. He moved through them fairly quickly. I thought everything he did was single target, so I thought it'd be a little bit slower than that. Alright, we're on into that second room. This part of the reason I like to watch their kit, besides just reading their kit, is actually see them in action, because a lot of times, like even Priel, when you read through her kit, it sounded like that shield was going to be on everybody, but it turns out it's just on her most of the time, and then her ultimate ability puts it on everybody. But you can see he charged this guy in the back row, didn't do a lot of damage there. Now he's surrounded by all the enemies. which makes it a little bit tough, although he's really not taking a lot of damage. So as far as a warrior is concerned, he seems to be doing pretty well staying alive there. But he's not looking for that AoE ability. I don't feel like... See, I think he did damage to a couple people on that one. So maybe there's like an area damage to his basic, potentially, because of this big old sword. I mean, I don't know. I'm not real sure what's going on there. But this is kind of more what I was expecting, where he was going to be single targeting, real slow. We're a minute into this battle. He's still got 4 enemies. He'd probably be better off if he just picked one and killed them as opposed to taking them all down, especially if anybody were doing heals. There's no way he's getting through them because those heals would start stacking up on these guys before he could do anything. He still's not taking a lot of damage here, but in that final room, that's where damage starts to really kind of start stacking up. So we'll see if he's able to make it through it. All right, so we're on into that final fight here. We're going to see how he's going. He's got about, I'd say, 3/4 of his health. So he's looking okay, but this is kind of when damage really starts kind of stacking up on him. So he moved pretty slowly. So you did see he did tick off damage across a few folks on that ability. I'm assuming it's an area AoE ability, whatever it is. And we're gonna take another peek at his kit and see if I just overlooked something. Probably did. I usually do. But he is doing some damage. He's getting closer to half health now. He took a crit right there. But if he can get through a couple of these guys, I think he'll probably make it. But with 5 guys hitting him right now, that's pretty unfortunate. Now he's down to 4, so that's good. He got through one person. He's got to do some work, though. I think he's been fairly lucky on the stuns. I was going to say, I haven't seen a lot of stuns come through, so I think he's been okay. He did get that one, but he is still looking at 4. He got that person down, so that's pretty good. He's dodging a lot, and that might be the double evade he has on his chest plate. That's, he's just keeping him alive, which is unfortunate because it's not really highlighting his kit as much as it's highlighting my gear. But we're learning, we're figuring it out, but I think it kind of gives you a good idea. We are 1 minute and 20 seconds into this battle. He finally got through everybody except for the boss. I would say if he wasn't dodging all of these hits, he would definitely be dead, because he is just taking his sweet time getting through all these enemies, and they're not doing a lot of damage to him. If they were doing more damage, I think he would definitely have died before now. Maybe even in the second room, because that battle took forever as well. But we're down to 9 seconds, 8 seconds. We might die on time. I think the only other person to do that was Grind. Oh, did he get it? He got it with 2 seconds left. Good job, dude. All right, we'll give him credit. Yeah, so I would say damage is pretty slow. I would say he's very tanky for a warrior. I think it surprised me that he stayed alive for 2 minutes with no healing in his kit. Let's take a peek at where that AoE damage was actually coming from, because I did not see that in his kit. Single target on Fearless, the nearest enemy, and he's going to hit him several times. Several. Not 5, not 7. It's several. Somewhere between 3 and 7 times. Deadly Charge is he's charging the furthest enemy, charging towards them. Knockback to enemies in the way. Okay, so as he goes through enemies, he's causing knockback to those enemies. Okay, so this part here is where his area. So as he's charging towards that last enemy, that's where he's hitting those other enemies. And then increases skill. So, okay, so he does have a little bit of AoE damage here. But it doesn't say how hard he's hitting those enemies. Dealing 200%. Okay, yeah, so he's doing 200% to them as well as the guy in the back, I'm assuming. So we're up to 260. So a linear assault on that charge is actually pretty good. If you had that maxed out at 280, he's going to be hitting everybody in line pretty hard. And we saw, he was taking some health off him. The struggle with that is the enemy doesn't always line up. So he's not always going to be hitting more than one person with that. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But let's jump out into the Token Trove and take a peek at what his market's looking like. So if we start with mine, I bought him for $9.38, 0.3482 Ethereum. And if we jump out into the market and see where he's at, it seems to be about where he's at, 0.0035 by the time I get fees and whatnot. Weird part here is the 7.3 is at 942, but a 6.3 is at 1341. So I think they're assuming you're going to get another radiance level to get 7.4. But yeah, it's just kind of strange that he's $4 more with one less upgrade, because you do have to use cracked hearts on those founder guardians. There's not really another way to enlighten them, so that is a resource. Now he is epic, so I think those are only a few dollars to use those, but it still would bring his value up, you would think, on those. Let's see how many of them are available at that price. So there's only one down there at 940. It jumps right up to 11, then to 13. So he's probably fairly comparable to those prices there. There's a warrior, one elite, or excuse me, there's 69 elites. We talked before that if there happened to be like an 8.4 or a 9.5, if it weren't up for sale, it wouldn't show up here. And so there could be more of them in the game than what we see here. There's about 2,500-ish in the game that we're seeing, 26,700, something like that. So he's a pretty common character, but you can't pull him. He's just available as a purchase through the Token Trove. So I don't know, based on what I saw today, that it'd be somebody I'd be looking to purchase, although he is kind of a cool looking champ. I'll give him that. And he didn't die. He made it 2 minutes in that battle without dying, which is also impressive. He was tickling everybody to death, but he did finally get through it. So that's not too bad. So I think that's about what I got for you on Othrox today. 7-3 champion. We had him decked out pretty well, but he just was not doing a bunch of damage. Now, to be fair, he was in a garbage piece of attack there. Didn't have a lot of attack in his kit. So if you did build him with a little more attack, he'd probably get through there a little quicker. But my goal is to really compare apples to apples. If we keep people between this 6 and 650, you can kind of get a feel for what they're going to do compared to other people. And I think a lot of other folks have had a lot more success getting through those waves. So, fun champion. I'm always happy to try new champions, but I'm pretty confident he won't find a place on a lot of teams. But I do like the way he looked. I'm a little partial to like lizards, dragons, stuff like that. I just kind of think they're fun. So anyway, I hope you appreciate it and enjoyed that that highlight on Othrox there. And I look forward to seeing you next time.